Hello, everybody, and welcome to session 8 of my senior capstone from St. Helens High School to College. This week, we're going to talk about tracking your degree progress. My name is Alwyn. I use she, her pronouns. I am currently a senior at Portland State University. I am a math major with a minor in secondary education, and I will be graduating on June 13th with my bachelor's degree, and a week later, starting my graduate program at Portland State. At the high school, I wear a lot of different hats. I am an Avid tutor, so I'm in the Avid classroom. I also run the Learning Lab, which typically happens in the library after school, but has been remote since March of last year. I also work the intercession and Cocoa and Cram academic support events, providing primarily math support to students. And I also volunteer as an Aspire mentor, working with students one on one to make sure that they have what they need to be successful in college after high school. So it's hard to believe I'm almost done with this capstone. This week is week 8. And like I said, I'm talking about tracking your degree progress. So you may be asking, why do I need to track my degree progress? Well, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you're taking the classes that you need to take to meet the specific requirements of your degree. So, for instance, at Portland State University, I have a general education requirement that I have to meet. I have a major requirement for my math major, and I also have a minor requirement for my secondary education minor. Those all require very different classes, and tracking your degree progress makes sure that you're hitting all the classes you need to hit to fulfill everything you want to achieve while you're going for your degree. And you want to make sure that you're not taking classes or taking too many classes that do not satisfy a requirement for your degree. So, for instance, if you're like me and you're a math major, you don't want to be taking a PE class every term or taking a lot of psychology classes and not focusing on the math classes because that will just delay and postpone how long it takes for you to graduate because you still need to take those math classes. Another reason to track your degree progress is you do have a minimum number of credits that you have to earn a degree. So for an associate's degree, it's 90 credits, and for a bachelor's degree, it's 180 credits. If you are one of those ambitious students that want to have a dual major where you're actually pursuing bachelor's degrees in 2 different subjects simultaneously, your minimum requirement is 216 credits. Also, for financial aid, most financial aid disbursements require you to be a full time student. I believe full time is 12 credits for most institutions, but that would be something you'll want to check specific to your institution. If you're taking less than full time, you won't completely lose out on financial aid, but you may receive less money because you're not a full time student. And then the 2 different ways that I'm going to talk about tracking degree progress. First of all, I'm going to show you what I set up when I first started classes at PSU. Uh, and then I'm also going to show you what PSU offers its students through their student account to track progress. I'm not certain that all colleges offer some sort of programming. I can say that PCC and PSU both do because those are the colleges I have attended. I recommend if you have that option, utilize it. And we'll actually look at my account in a little bit to see how that degree progress looks. So first I want to share what I do. And this was before I knew that that software existed at PSU. I had created, this is a Google Sheet, and I had created the Google Sheet and started plotting every course I was going to take to meet my major requirement for my math degree. So you can see I have each row here. This is like an academic year. So I have my 2018-19 year. This is my 2019-2020. And then this is the last year. Classes in green are classes I've completed. Classes in yellow are classes that I am currently enrolled in. And then classes in gray are classes that do not count toward my degree. So when I talk about making sure you're taking the right classes, I had originally a psychology minor, and I took this psychology 204 class because I was told it was part of my minor. After they analyzed my transfer credits from PCC, it turned out that I had taken the equivalent of Psych 204 at PCC, so I get no credit for that class. So that's basically 4 credits I took that I can't use. Um, the instructor was phenomenal, so I'm not upset about it. But that is a class that I could have taken something else that might have made this past year a little bit less for me because I've been taking 13 and 14 credits a term. And then I just this is all programming. I programmed it to total how many credits I've taken for each year. And then down here you'll see I've programmed to basically add these 3 columns. I transferred 90 credits from PCC. This told me how many credits I'd taken by the time I finished my degree, how many credits I needed. So I actually have 19 credits above what I needed to graduate. So to get your bachelor's degree, you need 180 credits. If you have 240 credits and you get your bachelor's degree, that's fine. You can have over the 180, but you cannot earn the degree with less than 180. So this is how I tracked my degree progress before I knew that PSU offered a tool. Also, just worth noting, if you are inclined to do something like this for yourself, down here you'll see I updated whenever I revised this schedule. For instance, I found out a class that I wanted to take was no longer offered, so I had to juggle classes. The revision here, that's the last time I revised this and then updated. The last time I updated this was March of this year when I made my winter 2021 green because I'd completed that class load and then made my spring 2021 yellow. And here, reviewed by Jay Bartlow, I actually forwarded this spreadsheet to one of the advisors in the math department to have an advisor's eyes on it to make sure that this was going to satisfy my math degree. And she said, yes, it satisfies your math degree. So I actually made a note of it here so that if this came back to me, I can go back and say on November 13th of 2019, I was told by a math advisor that I'm golden, and then have that conversation. So this is what I do for the entire, all of my classes together. This is what I did for my majors. So these are all the math classes, nightmare, that I have had to take to get my bachelor's degree in math. I highlight classes in yellow as I'm taking them. So you'll see I only have one class highlighted in yellow. Everything else has a grade. So that means that this class here that I'm taking, my topics in the history of mathematics, is the last class I need to take for my major. And then I abbreviate this as fall, winter, spring, and summer. Since spring and summer both start with an S, I just moved to the second letter. And again, this is just the way my brain works. If you do something like this, do it however it's going to make sense to you. This isn't necessarily what's going to make sense to you, but this is what made sense to me. So I've tracked my major. I've tracked my minors in a similar fashion. I don't have a screen share of that. And then I've tracked all of my classes for my entire degree. And then I found out that PSU offers software within your account where you can actually go and look and see where you are with your degree. So at Portland Community College, it's called your grad plan. And at PSU, it's called DARS. And I know it's degree audit something something. But I'm going to stop sharing this screen. And I am going to share my actual account at PSU. If I can get a thumbs up from somebody that you're seeing my PSU account. Excellent, thank you. So from PSU, we go into BandWeb. And again, if you're not going to PSU, this may at least give you an idea of where you would go to look, generally speaking. So PSU has specific stuff for my account. It has student services. It has student finances. The others are because I'm going to work at PSU next year. But for all of the registration stuff, we go into student services. And then right here, it says run degree audit. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to click on submit. And hopefully there are no surprises, but I looked at this last night, so there shouldn't be. And then you'll just answer whatever prompts. So for me, I am doing a math, a Bachelor of Science in Math. The catalog year for me is fall of 2015. That's when I was officially accepted to PSU, and then run your audit. And this will just take another minute or two. Okay. So up here we have my name, my catalog year, my program, my student ID, the date it's prepared. So it's being prepared today. One great thing about PSU's system, and I believe PCC's system was the same, you have the option to download or print your report. So I look at this every year and I print it and I save it into a file so I can compare every year where I was and what I've accomplished and what classes I've added to my list since the last time I generated this. And so in this, we're going to collapse all so I can just go one at a time. So in this, it's going to break down everything you have to do to earn a bachelor's degree. And I'll just briefly touch on all of these because I don't know that they're similar or the same for other colleges. So I don't want to bog you down with PSU stuff if you're not going to PSU. But one thing you'll see for sure if your school provides this is something that says how many credits. So it says that you must complete 180 credits. 72 of those must be upper division credits, which means your 300 and 400 level classes. And then you must have at least a 2.0 GPA. So at PCC and PSU combined, I've taken 188 credits through last term, and I am taking 13 credits this term. For PSU, the blue screen with the dots or the blue box with the dots means that it's in progress. So I need 72 upper division credits. I had 68 as of last term. I'm taking 13 upper division credits this term, so I will satisfy that requirement. They require that you have a 2.0 or better in all of your PSU credits. I have a 3.66 at PSU, so I meet those requirements. They'll also show you there will be most schools have a residence requirement, which means you have to take a specific number of credits at PSU. So for PSU or at your college, excuse me, at PSU, 45 of the last 60 credits you take in your degree have to be taken at PSU because they require you to establish yourself as a student at the school you want to get your degree at. Other things you may see at your university writing requirement. That did not, here we go. So I have a green check. I've done that. I had to take 2 writing courses. I took both of those at PCC. So that is satisfied. My Bachelor of Science, this is where you're going to see your science credits, or if you have a Bachelor's of Arts, you're going to see your foreign language credits. So 12 credits in science, 8 of which have to have a lab attached. So my meteorology and oceanography classes also had labs attached. So I satisfied both of those requirements. And then your arts and letters. And this is typical of any school is going to require that you do arts and letters. That's your social sciences, your psychologies, your sociologies. And you'll see, I'm not really sure why my college writing class is here, but I have plenty of psychology classes to fill that spot. As you'll see, I have 2 psychology classes here. That's Psych 201A and then Psych 215. University studies is something that is specific to PSU. So they require an upper division cluster, which I satisfied right here, and that is why there's a green check. And then they also require a capstone, and I'm taking my capstone class right now, and that's why I'm sitting here in my home office talking to you fine people about college, because that's part of my capstone. You'll also see something for your major, and you'll see for my math major, all of the green checks, and then I have one that is in process, and that's because that history of math class will complete that final requirement for my major. And then you need to take a specific number of credits in your major at that school. So you have your residency requirement, which requires you to take a specific number of credits in any classes. And then you have residency and major, which requires you to take a specific number of credits in your major at that campus. And then PSU requires a specific GPA in your major. I have a 3.64. They require a 2.0. And then elective credits. These are all the classes I took at PCC that do not fill a specific requirement, but that the credit hours count toward my graduation. And then graduate level, you won't have this until you're actually taking grad classes, but I start my grad program in the summer. So that's my grad program. So I am going to get out of this screen, and then there's one more thing I wanted to show you. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. And okay. So then the last thing I wanted to talk about is course projections. This was not something I saw at PCC. It is something that's at PSU. So again, not college specific. But you may find that you have a way to see when courses are being offered during which years and which terms, which will help you in planning. The topics in math class that I'm taking this term was actually supposed to be taught in the winter term, and I found out over the summer by using the course projections tool that they had moved it to spring. So I actually had to make adjustments to my entire academic year this year because I wanted to take that math history class, but I had to move it to spring. So I had to juggle some other classes to make that work. Course projections, crucial for plotting your upper division courses, specifically in your major. You may find that you have classes that are required to be taken for your major that may only be offered once a year. Or you may have a sequence that you need to take that's a 2-course sequence that's only offered fall term and winter term. And if you miss it that fall term, you have to wait another year to next fall to take that. So course projections crucial to academic success, specifically once you start taking those upper division classes in your major. If your campus does not offer some sort of programming for course projections, this is another great thing to talk about when you're meeting with your advisor before fall term. I actually had a position on campus this year where I needed specific days free to do the work I had to do on campus. So I reached out to the math department and said, these are the classes I need to take next year. This is the role I have. When are these classes being offered? And they emailed me and let me know when the classes I needed to take were being offered and which terms they were being offered so that I knew how to plot my schedule around the work that I needed to do on campus. So I'm going to stop talking about course projections really quick. I'm going to bring back up my account, and I want to show you just what that tool looks like at PSU. And again, if you have something like this, it'll be somewhere around where you do your registering for classes. And so for me, it's actually in the registration hub and review course projections. And this is a fairly simple tool to use. You can type in a specific course or you can type in a subject. So I'm gonna do first just a subject. Let's just do psychology. And it'll pull up different subjects that have something to do with psychology or where psychology exists in the course description. So I want to look at actual psychology classes. So I'm going to click on psychology. And this is going to show me every psychology class that PSU is offering this year, next year, and the year after. These blue circles mean that the class is being offered. An empty circle is that it's tentatively offered. A red circle is that it was going to be offered, but now it's not. The moon is that it's an evening class, and the little computer monitor means that at least one offering in that specific class will be an online only option. So let's just randomly scroll. Let's look at cognition. So cognition, we can see it's being offered fall, winter, and spring all 3 years. It's not going to be offered in the evening, and it's not going to be offered online. So it's going to be just an in-person class. But you have, if you're just starting at PSU, you could take it fall, winter, spring, anytime in these 3 years, and you're golden. It'll be available for you. Now, let's look at something a little bit more specific, this is my math history class. And you can see my math history class is offered only this spring, and it's an evening class. Next year, it'll be offered in the spring. The year after that, it's going to be offered in the spring and tentatively in the summer. So when I looked at this tool 2 years ago, it showed a blue circle in winter because that's when it was going to be offered originally. When I checked it over this past summer, it had moved from winter to spring. So that's what made me need to juggle my schedule a little bit. So um, this is a great tool. Again, if your college has it, I highly recommend you utilize it. But if your college doesn't have that sort of projection tool, again, your advisors for the math, or not the math department, but the department in general, most departments have front desks, and you can email the front desk and ask them specific questions about specific classes. And they're there to help you. They want you to be successful, so they will get you the information you need to be successful. So, in summary, um, no one's going to tell you what you need to take, and no one's going to tell you how close you are to graduating. All of that's going to fall on you. There isn't a Miss Ross or a Miss Chisholm reaching out to you to let you know how close you are to graduating. So, super important that you start this advocating process for yourself and find a way to track that. You could use notebook paper. You could create something like I did in Google Sheets. If your college offers some sort of software, use the software. I recommend getting familiar with it. That's something you can do the summer before you start college, is start nosing around in your account and seeing what's there for you to use. And then utilizing your advisors. You can always reach out to them and find out. And then the same thing with the course offerings. If you have that available to you, use it. It's there to help you be successful. And if you don't have something like that available to you, again, check in with your advisors or email the front desk for your specific departments, and they should be able to give you that information. So, as always, if you have any questions or would like to have a chat with me about any of the material in any of the slides, or if there's a question you have about college that I haven't addressed, because I haven't covered everything there is to know, I've covered the things that I think as an incoming freshman you should know, feel free to reach out to me. My email is alwinscapstone@gmail.com. I'm happy to have a phone chat with you, meet with you at the high school if you are um, in the hybrid model this year, or reach out to you over Zoom. So feel free to reach out if you have questions. And then again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come out and either attend the live capstone meetings, or if you're watching these over the website. However you're engaging with this material, thank you for engaging with it. I hope that you find value in this material. And next week is going to be our final session. And I'm going to be talking about moving forward, and specifically, you finished your first year of college, now what? So I'm going to talk about some things that um, you should continue doing and things that you should start doing to just be that much more successful in college. So with that, I thank you for coming, and I will see you again next week.